Welcome back to Yates American B244. In this episode, we hope to assemble the cutter head and the motor using the refurbished bearings and the repaired stator and give the motor a full-on run-up. These bearing races were pretty messed up from rust and stuff, so I'm using some 320 silicon carbide with some tape backing it up and some paint thinner as a lubricant to try to shine up these bearing races. For purposes of testing the motor, I'm not going to put the chip breaker and pressure bar rings on here. So this block has a little raised rim here that pushes just on the race of the bearing so that I'm not stressing the bearing out. I'm pretty sure that every part on this machine has been hammered on. So I guess when they were trying to separate the bearing housing before they were beating on it. Okay, let's see if we can get this thing assembled and test the motor. Well, this bearing housing is not going together as easy as the other one, so I'm going to draw it down with some bolts. Okay, I got it started. There we go. Sweet. Now I can put the cap screws in. I put these two bolts in just to hold this in place while I was working on the other end. It's interesting that there are no alignment pins on this end. The other end had those two alignment pins that I tapped in with a hammer, but for some reason there's not any on this end. There were on the J180 that I worked on. I got to put washers on these bolts. These are grade 8 washers. I threw away the lock washers. Still can't get over these fans. They've got this great big key and a little tiny set screw. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this taper because I want to put the stator on before the rotor because it'll be easier to fish the wires through the hole down there. Even the bore of this rotor is rusty. I have some 320 carbide paper sprayed adhered to the wood. That is much better. So I'm expecting this rotor to kind of snap on just like you would a Morse taper. This tabbed washer really needs to be replaced. So let's talk about this motor testing. A few weeks ago I took the stator up to T. Gray Electric Motor Company in Dallas, Texas, and they hooked it up to a $30,000 winding test, and they did surge test, mega ohm test, high pot. They checked the impedance, the inductance, the phase angle, Q factor, and some other things, and it totally checked out. So one, there's nothing wrong with the stator to begin with, and then two, the repairs that I did to the leads did not adversely affect it. But I want to do a run-up test just to make sure it actually runs. So temporarily I've got a terminal block screwed here, and I've got the leads configured for low voltage 240. So I've got leads T1, T7 together, T2, T8, and T3 and T9 together, and then leads 4, 5, and 6 tied off together. So my electrician friend is moderately confident that I can use the motor starter from my J180 to test the B244 motor. This is only rated at 5 horsepower, and then my rotary phase converter over there is only rated at 5 horsepower output. If I can pull start the spindle to get it going to overcome the initial high torque and high amperage at startup, we'll be able to run it off this 5 horsepower unit. So here goes nothing. This is the first time. Okay, I've done a couple of pull starts, and I'm a little hesitant to do this, but I'm going to try doing a start from a dead stop without a pull start. That wasn't too bad. Well, those old bearings are pretty noisy, but at least I know I have 2 working motors now. There are a lot of little things that need to be repaired on this B244. But I'm going to continue with this project. The next things I'll be working on are disassembling the frames and the table. So I hope you'll check back every now and then and see how we're doing on Yates American B244.